Coach of the LSU Tigers, Brian Kelly, joining us here on SEC this morning. Coach, it's just you and I talking simply for the fact of our good buddy Chris Doering is still in makeup right now. So before he comes up, what was your biggest takeaway now that you had an opportunity to kind of dive into that film?
Championship style defense. I mean, look, each year you construct a football team and you want is a team that's balanced, right, in all phases. But our defense is playing extraordinary, and having 5 interceptions in a game, I think the most ever in LSU history. That's got to be the takeaway for me.
And when you look at that defense as well, too, what's that message that Blake Baker had to this team going into it? Because it's Bayou Bandits defense is something that, frankly, we haven't seen down in the 225, arguably maybe since, the 2007 national championship run.
It's been a while, and I think, quite frankly, that's been, the reason why we haven't been able to get over the top relative to playing for a championship and being in the playoffs. We've had prolific offenses, but I think we all know, we've seen enough football. It starts with a defense, and then you need to play complementary football. Do we want to play better on offense? Absolutely. Will we? I 100% think that we will, and know that we will as we continue to grow. But you start with the defense. And so it's a mindset, it's a mentality, it's a group of guys now that believe that when they go out on the field, they're going to impact the game.
The fans impacted the game. You saw that even before. There's something special about LSU in Florida. But you say complimentary football. How much of that is part of Joe Sloan not having to, in his offense, not having to score 40, like maybe years past when you didn't necessarily have the dudes or the scheme that you wanted?
That's a great point. I think we're in a position, even last year where, we really had to force the ball and really not think about field position. As you know, our punter, and people don't necessarily like to hear this, but my job is to get positive outcomes for LSU. Sometimes you have to rely on field position and playing the game tactically the way we did. If you look at last year's game against Florida, the stats are the exact opposite. We led in time of possession. We led in all of the categories that we didn't lead in this game, except for the scoreboard. And at the end of the day, my job is to deliver W's for our football program.
And they continue to pile up, but so did some of the injuries as well, too. What's the latest on Wes Weeks? Of course, looked a little bit banged up in that game.
Yeah, I think good news. Not a long-term situation. Gastroc calf kind of strain. Probably a one plus. So he'll be in a walking boot today and tomorrow, and then we'll get him back on the field and move around and see how he feels this week. But much better news than what we thought at first. We thought the worst, and we got much better news in that respect.
BK, I host this show, SEC Open Mic, right after this show. And last week you came in and said, sometimes I really enjoy when we can, if this was the first press conference, because you've had an opportunity to get out of kind of the fog of war of the game. Kind of what was that part, that kind of feeling right after it when asked about the question right from the jump, in that now that you got an opportunity to talk about it over on Monday, that you see the film and it changes?
Well, I don't know that the question, would be any different in terms of my response. I have to do a better job of handling those kinds of questions. And, I apologize to Mike Cobble, who's a really good reporter and works really hard. But the timing in that situation after an emotional game, my first reaction is I'm going to defend my players and I'm going to defend our program and team. And so, like I said, I need to do a better job. And, understanding the emotions of a game and you just, beat a rival 20-10, I think in that situation, we'll look to be better in the future.
And, Coach, you and I had a discussion right before. We saw it at SEC Nation. It was 100 degrees. And I said, how are we feeling on it? And you said, I'm going to probably have you back a little bit in this game. And so without further ado, the moment that everybody's been waiting for, are you ready for this, Coach?
I've been waiting for it.
Okay.
I didn't sleep last night. I wanted to make sure that I was here early to be able to see this.
Without further ado, for the LSU Florida annual payoff, Mr. Christopher Doering, please enter the studio. My man. Oh, look at Coach Kelly right here.
Oh my goodness.
That is something.
Hey, Coach.
You want
Chris, there's nobody that pays up a bet better than you.
Thank you. I appreciate you always being here for this, Coach. You're a good sport as well.
Unfortunately, you're not the beneficiary of it this time, but I think everybody that's watching this morning is the beneficiary. To see that an actual human being would dress up like that's amazing.
I'm going to pay my bets, and I didn't hear a ton of the interview, but I want to give you guys credit, man. It looked like a great defensive plan that you guys and Coach Baker put together. Looked like everything that Florida was trying to do, you had an answer for. So congratulations.
Can you get
guys.
the Hello Kitty a little bit further into the shot?
You
there?
want him in the shot?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that when you're asking Coach Kelly, if you see the pumpkin, the Hello Kitty
This
in
is
there.
my comfort.
I see the kitty, but I do want to respond to Chris, because I will say that, from a physicality standpoint, the Florida defense, the way that they get off and play, that was a hard-fought SEC game. We came out on top because of the turnovers, because we did a great job on the back end disguising some things and getting DJ to move and get out of the pocket. But man, that was a physical game, including the physicality that I feel on my body after getting absolutely ambushed on the sideline. I think I ended up in the first row, but we shook it off. But that was a great SEC game.
Coach, that's 2 weeks in a row. And real quick, while I ask you this question, I want to go through, are you okay? Because you might be on the injury report. This is that happened in the Clemson game, and then you got crushed in that game against Florida.
Yeah, I was running down the sideline to call. That was more of getting out of the way of an official.
Yeah.
I did not want to make contact and get a 15-yard penalty, but you could see the athleticism here. I'm trying to get a timeout, and you got two big dudes that just you could see timeout, bye. See, and the great part about it is everybody looks at you, but nobody wants to help you up.
Well, nobody wants to help this guy. Real quick, why don't you ask a question?
I do, Coach. I know PB asked earlier about the interview. I thought you had every right to be upset. That was a moment of celebration. You guys deserve to have that. It's tough to win.
Hold
in
on,
the
this
SEC.
is a pumpkin thing. Yeah, why don't you take a bite of that real quick?
Right.
Just
But Coach, I think that the amount of energy that goes into a preparation for a game like that, executing, like what time do you finally go to sleep on Saturday night into Sunday morning?
Well, Saturday night, you can't, it's hard to unwind. And that goes to like these press conferences right after a game, and it's emotional, and especially in a rivalry game. And we had all that other stuff going on. I just have to do a better job of handling myself in those situations. And I, as I said earlier, I'll do better because I think everybody knows there's emotion. Those questions can be such that you want to defend your team and you want to defend your players. That's your first reaction after a great win. But like I said, I've been doing it a long time, but I can do better. I can learn and handle myself in a better fashion as well.
I think Doring's handling this fashion pretty well. Why don't you? This is a little pumpkin
spice latte.
A little
here.
latte. He looks thirsty, Coach. I want to make sure that he's well hydrated.
I do want to. This, Coach. I have such great admiration for you, and I know I am not the beneficiary of this one, but a big fan of yours, and always appreciate your time with us here, and certainly being a big part of this league, man. Wish you well.
Well, thank you. I always know that there's going to be one side of this that doesn't work out, but both of you guys are amazing and love the show and huge fan. So thanks again for having me on.
And thank you for being the coach of the LSU Tigers, handing those Florida Gators a loss and making him do that. Big shout out to Coach Brian Kelly. I just want to drink this in for a little bit.